Hey, this is M from the 33 Secrets, and in this new secret training video, I'm going to answer a common question that I get from a lot of students. And not only students, but actually journalists, bloggers, people who write in, people who ask me questions. They tend to ask me the same question, and it's a very common question. So I just want to answer it once and for all. And that question is, do you need to be good looking in order to attract beautiful women? So do you have to be good looking? Do you have to be rich, tall, etc., in order to attract beautiful women? And I'm so tired of this question. I'm just going to answer it. The answer is no. You do not need to be good looking, you do not need to be rich, and you do not need to be tall or have six-pack abs or drive a Ferrari or anything like that in order to attract and date beautiful women successfully. And the reason I know this is because I've been doing this a long time, A, and B, I've just seen too many examples of guys who are super unattractive, super short, super poor, guys who would, otherwise classify as losers, guys who have nothing going on in life, just be able to attract some of the hottest women on the planet. And I mean, to the point where you're almost embarrassed for some of these women that they're willing to date these guys who are complete losers just because these guys are able to offer value, they're able to be fun, they're able to get her laughing, they have what I call the MDM, the $1 million mouthpiece. They just have their own version of game that works for them. It's not the best game. Sometimes it comes off try hard, but a lot of these guys are just living in the moment. They're what I call short-term maters, because you have short-term mating strategy and then you have long-term mating strategy. And guys who are in that long-term mating strategy are generally guys who are waiting to get their lives together before they give themselves permission to date attractive women. So guys in long-term mating strategy will generally wait till they have their careers together. They'll wait till they get their job promotion. They'll wait till they get their house. They'll wait till they get the perfect car, their six-pack abs, before they give themselves permission to go out there and just pick up attractive women. Where guys who are in that short-term mating strategy, they don't care about any of that. All those guys care about is living in the moment. All those guys care about is getting laid. All those guys care about is just moving from one girl to the next. This is why a lot of those guys are just fearless, where they don't care if they get rejected. I mean, they'll just keep going after the girl. And to attractive women, I mean, this is really attractive because they're showing her that, and in their minds, they really do believe that they're above her. Because in order to be in that short-term mating strategy, you really have to delude yourself into thinking, that you're the man, that you're a badass mofo, that you could have any girl you want, that, life is good. Even though, again, most of these guys are just complete losers. You wouldn't never want to be anything like them. A lot of these guys, once they hit their 50s, 60s, well, generally like their 60s and 70s. A lot of times they'll end up homeless. They'll end up just still living on somebody's couch. They'll still be living in apartments. They'll have zero in savings in the bank. So you'd never want to be like any of these guys. And a lot of the pickup companies, I notice, really cater to these type of guys, because these type of guys are generally younger, okay? At least for the guys who are learning pickup. You'll notice most of the guys learning pickup that these pickup companies cater to, they generally cater to guys in their late teens, like 18, 19, something like that, to their early 20s. So you've got a lot of late teens to early 20s wanting to learn pickup. So of course these pickup companies, they're not stupid. What are they going to market to them? Short-term mating strategy. It's all about getting laid. It's all about, the next girl. It's all about, try to have sex with as many hotties as possible. And that's all fine and dandy in your, in your 20s. And even then it's pretty dangerous, because I did that. Well, I was in my 20s and I was just insane. I did a lot of this stuff, and it's a miracle that I'm still here with no kids, no diseases, knock on wood, thank God. But I'm still here. And a lot of the guys I came up in the game with, I would say most of them are no longer here. I mean, they're still alive, but they're just not here. They're, raising somebody's kid. They're stuck in these relationships with girls that they're not even attracted to. They ended up getting more than a few girls pregnant. So now they're paying child support to like 2 to 3 different women. I mean, they really screwed their lives. And a lot of it comes from that short-term mating strategy. Okay, a lot of the pickup companies that you'll see, especially on YouTube, you'll notice they really cater to that, where most of their infield training videos, they're always in nightclubs, they're always like, in dance clubs and stuff like that, where the environment's like boom, boom, boom. And as I teach students, man, that's the last place that you want to go to meet girls that you want to date. I mean, that's just insane. Most of the girls who go to those places are straight up party girls. And I talk about this in my training course, the 33 Secrets to Dating Beautiful Women. I tell you specifically, one of my secrets is do not date party girls, okay? Just don't do it, because you're asking for trouble. And how do I know? Because I've dated a lot of these women when I was in my 20s. And I grew up in San Francisco. So there was a club there called the Palladium. There was another club called 1015 Folsom. And if you're from San Francisco, you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't think it's there anymore, but I was going to these clubs. I was sneaking in when I was 17. Okay, so I actually started when I was 17. I had a fake ID back then. Used to go into these clubs, and I was picking up women who were like 22, 23. To me, this was awesome. Because I was picking up girls who were much older than me, while most of my friends were still dating high school girls. And I didn't realize it, for a long time, that even though a lot of these girls were super hot, I was completely going to the wrong place to pick them up, which was nightclubs. It wasn't until I hit my late 20s, probably early 30s even, that I just stopped going to clubs, period. And I got tired of that environment. And I noticed once I stopped going to those places, 2 things happened. My social circle changed as far as my guy friends, because those guys were still going. And incidentally, those guys are all have all knocked up the wrong women. So they're all like gone now. So my social circle changed, where I got better friends, more high value friends, I want to say. And 2, the caliber of women that I was meeting, just skyrocketed, because I still went out, but I just no longer went to nightclubs. So I started looking for other places. I started going to hotel bars and restaurant bars. Another thing I talk about in the 33 Secrets, just other places where I could meet young, attractive women. And that was a struggle, because I just assumed, like most 20-year-olds, that if you want to meet a hot girl, you got to go to the nightclub. You got to be there Friday and Saturday night like everybody else. You got to go stand in that line. You got to go pay your $50, well, back then it was like $20. And even then it was expensive. $20 to get in. You stand in this line that was like 3 hours long. Another club I used to go to in San Francisco called DV8. Probably know, I don't even know if that's still there. DV8, Sound Factory. I think Sound Factory's still there. But I used to go to these places and met a lot of girls who I ended up dating and having sex with through cold approach pickup, and it was great. And I look back and I just think it's a miracle that I'm still here, and I didn't get any of those girls pregnant. And incidentally, all of those girls did get knocked up by some guy after me, which is just so surreal. But in any case, getting back to my point, do looks matter? The answer is no. And that's why I brought up this whole clubbing thing, is because I've been going to nightclubs, my entire life. And, into my 30s, I started going to other places, restaurant bars, hotel bars, and I would still see the same thing. Guys who are unattractive, guys who weren't good looking, guys who were short, guys who were fat, guys who didn't have any money, being able to pick up some very attractive, hot women. And they were able to do it because they're just living in the moment. You know, they're just living in the moment. Very similar to that movie Point Break, where these guys are just, you know, robbing banks and just living the endless summer, which is something I want to do, by the way. Just go somewhere where it's always summer. But they're just living in the moment, and they're in that short-term mating strategy. And a lot of these guys who are not very good looking are generally, and I will admit this, they are generally in that short-term mating strategy where they're just living for the moment and they could care less. So they don't care if they get rejected. They don't care if, you know, they get blown out. They'll keep going after the girl. And as I teach students, one thing about beautiful women, and this is a great thing, this is a big advantage, is they will allow for an endless amount of mistakes. So no matter how many times they blow you out, no matter how many times they reject you, you can always come back. Okay, so you're never really out. Where a lot of guys tend to think that, you know, once you're blown out, that's it. But there have been so many cases, so many situations where I would meet an attractive woman, and for whatever reason, she wasn't feeling it that night, or she just didn't like me, whatever. She would blow me out. She'd be like, no, I'm not interested. No, stop. I don't want to hear it. No, you know, whatever. And then I would see her, you know, a week later, 2 weeks later, or sometimes even just the next night. And she'd be like in a completely different mood and be like, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm sorry I was mean last night. Oh, you know, this happened with my girlfriend or my family. Anyway, let me buy you a drink. I'm sorry. You know, and all of a sudden it's like a complete 360, like a complete 180. The girl would be like just completely into it. So you're never really out. That's a good thing. But my point is, looks do not matter. And I'm so tired of hearing this, that it's all about the looks. And of course they're going to be like, no, you're just trying to sell your program. And, you know, yes, I'm trying to sell my program. However, the truth is, looks don't matter. And I will say that forever and ever, just because I've seen so many examples throughout my entire pickup career, which is, you know, over 2 decades now. We're talking over 20 years that I've been seeing guys who are not attractive pick up, sleep with, have sex with, and date very hot women. Okay, and guys who don't have money, guys who are short, guys who are fat, guys who don't take care of themselves, guys who have zero in their bank account, be able to do this. Now, do I recommend you do this? Of course not. You don't want to be in that short-term mating strategy because you don't want to be a loser, all right? You want to find the fine balance, okay? Because I do, like most of my students, let me just put it this way. Most of my students are not like most of the pickup students you see out there. I tend to attract guys who, even if they're younger, they generally have their crap together, or they're building their life. They're in university, they're in school, they're going for, you know, their MBA or their degree, or they're building their professional career. So they're very much in that long-term mating strategy where they want to get their lives together before they give themselves permission to go out there and pick up young, attractive women. Where my thinking is, where what I try to teach students is to have that balance. So you want to have that balance between short-term mating strategy and long-term mating strategy, all right? But I do want to set the record straight that you do not need to be good looking, you don't need to be rich, you don't need to be tall, you don't need to have like six-pack abs in order to do this. And whenever I hear a guy say, oh, it's all about your looks, or oh, you know, you have to be good looking, whenever I hear a guy say that, it's generally a guy who A, is very new to pickup, and B, is looking for an excuse for himself, okay? So whenever I hear a guy say it's all about your looks, it's always A, he's new to pickup, meaning he hasn't gone out enough, because if he did go out enough, he would see for himself that there are a ton of guys out there who are not good looking, not attractive whatsoever, short, fat, balding, aging, that are picking up very young, very hot, attractive women. And B, guys who say it's all about the looks are generally guys who, how can I say this nicely? Well, I'm just gonna say it. They're generally guys who are just looking for a scapegoat for why they suck and why their game sucks. And if you're one of these guys, don't take offense to what I'm saying, just seriously hear me out. because I'm somebody who's been doing this for a long time, and I'm telling you this straight from the horse's mouth. And I know some guys, from what I hear, some guys will say, and I've had students who've said this, but like, and I've had students who are much better looking than me say this, like, well, look at you, man, you're a good looking guy. And I'm like, first of all, I'm flattered. I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay, but I'm like, thanks. But I don't, it's not like I walk up to girls and go, look, check this out. Check out this face. Look at this. Look at my arms. Look, check. And then she just like takes her pants off. Doesn't work that way, guys. I still have to game. I still have to do pickup. I still have to, follow my own rules, not validate her, not seek her approval, be free from outcome, be entitled, be congruent. I still have to follow those rules, regardless of my looks. And I've had students who are like practically, they could be models. Okay, actually I did have a student who was a model. And the guy was like six-pack abs, thin, good body tone, tall. Well, he's fairly tall. He's like 6'1", 6'2". Just your classic idea of a good-looking guy. And this guy still had a lot of issues. Okay, so you just have to understand women are not like guys, because a lot of these guys who say that it's all about the looks, they are making the classic mistake of treating women like men, or thinking women are like men. And guess what? Women are nothing like men. Women are not logical. Women are very emotional. Women will very much go off of, the vibe and what she's feeling off the guy, where guys are very logical. Guys, they don't think like that. Guys don't do that. So let's answer this question. Do looks matter? No, they absolutely do not matter whatsoever. And I'm telling you that not only from experience, but if you don't believe me, just go out there and see for yourself. And if you're one of these guys who thinks it's all about your looks, please get out of your house, and please go out there and go to some of these venues, especially where I go to, and see for yourself that there are a number of guys out there who are just very, very unattractive and pulling these very amazing looking women just because they're living in the moment and they really don't care about anything else. Again, do you want to be one of these guys? No, you do want to have your crap together, and you do want to find that, that balance between long-term mating strategy and short-term mating strategy. So you want to find the healthy balance so that, you could still go out there and you could pull these just super hot women without wrecking your life, okay? Because like I said, a lot of those guys, when they're in their 60s, 70s, generally end up homeless, penniless, living on somebody's couch, or end up dead, So, watch Point Break. What happened to all those guys? They ended up getting killed. So they didn't last. They lasted until the movie. They were having a great time, but at the end of the movie, they all ended up dying, okay? So you definitely want to find that balance, and you want to be smart about this and stay in the game as long as I have. And the reason I've been able to stay in the game as long as I have is because I've found that healthy balance between short-term mating strategy and long-term mating strategy, where yes, I do focus on work, I get my crap together, I make sure I'm hitting life hard, I make sure I'm being responsible so I don't end up out on the street, but at the same time, I do give myself permission to go out there and, enjoy life and enjoy my youth and enjoy my energy while I still have it, because we're not going to have these things forever. So if you're sitting at home and you're thinking that it's all about your looks and you're one of those guys, and it's just so shocking because there's so many of these guys out there that I see on these forums and, in the comments section, and I try not to read that stuff, especially these days, because it's so juvenile, and I don't even know why people bother, but if you are one of these guys that thinks it's all about your looks, just do yourself a favor and go out. Please leave your house, go out, and you don't even need to go out and pick up these women. Just go out and sit in these venues that are busy with all these hot, attractive women, and you'll see that it's not only good-looking guys who are picking them up. It's for the most part, it's most of the guys who pick these women up are just not good looking. Like I said, they're just very average or very unaverage and fat and old and bald and short, and and they're doing great because they're living in that moment and they could care less. So it's really not all about your looks. But I do, for the record, I do have students who are classically unattractive. These are not good looking guys who are also short, fat, bald, aging, who are still doing phenomenal with women, yet they still have their crap together. They're still working on their lives, because that's one thing I work on with my students, is finding that healthy balance between short-term mating strategy and long-term mating strategy. Because short-term mating strategy, if that's all you're going to do, you will get laid. I mean, no matter how bad you look and no matter how good you look, you're going to be successful doing that. But will you last? No. You're either going to catch something, you're going to catch a disease, or you're going to get some girl pregnant. Okay. Same thing with this other movie of mine. This other movie that I really like called Heat with Robert De Niro. What happened in that movie? They were all living in the moment. They were robbing these banks. They were making all this money, all this cash. And then what happened at the end? They all ended up getting killed. I think even Robert De Niro got killed. The only person who escaped that movie was Val Kilmer, right? He escaped, but look at the price he had to pay. He lost his wife, lost his kid, can't contact him anymore because, friggin' FBI has like 24-hour watch on his wife. So you don't want to be in that short-term mating strategy. Will it get you laid? Yes. Whether you're good looking or not, short-term mating strategy will get you laid. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not. Just because 9 out of 10 times, you will probably not make it into especially if you're in your 20s, you probably will not make it into your 30s. Okay, and if you're learning game now, say you're in your 30s now and you're learning game and you just want to do short-term mating strategy, you probably won't make it into your 40s without getting somebody pregnant, without getting some child custody suit or some nonsense like that. Most of the pickup instructors out there are not very good looking if you take a look. I mean, a lot of them are not attractive and they're doing great. And not only are they doing great, but they're teaching other guys as well. But again, forewarning, a lot of those guys are in short-term mating strategy. So I will admit that. I am telling you that short-term mating strategy will get you laid, whether you're good looking or not. And a lot of the pickup instructors, unfortunately, are teaching short-term mating strategy. That's why you'll watch a lot of their videos and they're always like, yeah, man, just have as much sex as you possibly can. And if she's willing to go home with you, go home with her and, have sex with as many girls as you possibly can and all this other stuff. I've never, ever, ever told you to do that. I've always stressed looking for those attractive women, those 8s, 9s, and 10s that you actually have chemistry and connection with, okay? And the only way to really get to those type of women and really identify who those women are is by actually going out there and applying what I teach you and going on these dates and meeting these women and talking to them and interacting with them. And the more women that you date, the more women that you interact with, the more you're going to start to just really identify what your type is and really chisel away at all the nonsense and all the girls that you shouldn't be dating. A lot of these guys are in that short-term mating strategy, which is almost giving them like a superpower to go out there and pick up these young, hot women. And you might think to yourself, okay, I'm going to do that short-term mating strategy for a little while so I can get these women in my life. But really, once you start going down that dark path, man, it's very hard to come back. Okay, it's very hard to come back to center. And I know personally, when I give myself too much permission to go out there and pick up these young, attractive women, and I start to forget about work, when I go too far down that road and give myself too much permission, say I go to Vegas or something and I stay there too long, it's very hard to come back, to normal life and get back to work. So there's just that healthy balance. It's like eating junk food. It's like, man, if you work out hard every day, of course you should give yourself a break. Maybe have Taco Bell once a week. But if you start going to Taco Bell 5 times a week, guess what? It's going to be very hard to get back to where you were. So again, that balance, and having that balance takes discipline. It takes effort. Okay, but that's what being a man is all about. You got to have the discipline. You got to have the effort. That's what being really good at at dating attractive women is about, is having that self-discipline, to not let yourself go down that path. And again, that's why I feel like that's been a big contributor to my success in this. And when I say success, the fact that I'm still here without kids, and not in a, you know, crap ass marriage or relationship like most people. I mean, I have a pool of young, attractive, good, hot women in my life that one day, if I want to get married, if I want to go down that road, which I might, I haven't ruled it out, but you know, maybe when I'm in my late 50s, or you know, early 60s, which for some people just sounds outrageous because, you know, they think you should get married in your 20s or 30s. But for me, I'm enjoying life, and even in your 50s, 60s, you know, if you live to 80 or 90, that's 20, 30 years with one person. That's plenty of time. The great position that I'm in is I have a pool of young, attractive women that I can choose from. Even today, if I want to get married tomorrow, it's not like I have to pick that one girl from work, you know, that one chick from work that average-looking chick that everybody think is cute, because everybody else at work is in scarcity. It's like, no, man, I've worked hard at this. I've worked hard to learn this. Now I'm teaching it. You know, I've been doing this all my life to where I've built up, you know, like I said, a large pool of women that I can choose from to either date or marry someday. And it's just a phenomenal position to be in, and I am thankful for it. But again, I worked hard, man. I worked hard for this stuff. So any of these guys that you see out there that tell you it's about looks, man, tell them to get out of the house. Tell them to go out there and stop making excuses, because like I said, it's always guys who are new to this, new and naive, I want to say, because I mean, that's a really naive statement to say that you need to be good looking, rich, tall, what do they call it? LMS, looks, money, status, in order to get the hot women out there. That's really naive, man. And this is coming from somebody who's been doing this for 2 decades. This is well before I even had a product. I would have told you this, you know, 5 years into this, even 3 years into this. I was already seeing this right away. Like once I started clubbing, I was only 17, 18. When I was clubbing and I was seeing some of these guys, like, that were twice my age at the time, like could have been my dad, you know, going into these clubs and taking these girls home that were, you know, probably only 1 or 2 years older than me. I mean, that tripped me out. I was like, really? Does that happen? You know, I was just naive. I didn't know any better. But I could understand where a lot of these guys, you know, today with the internet on these forums being, no, you have to be like looks, money, status. You can't be, you know, fat and ugly and get these chicks. There's no way. You know, they're all about money, yada, yada, yada. Man, it's really not. You know, it really isn't. I don't know what to tell you. You really need to get up off your butt, go to these venues and see it for yourself. And you'll see that I'm telling you the truth, man. It's not about money, looks, status. You know, it's all about the way you make the girl feel. It's all about the vibe that you give her. That's all these girls care about. Like I said, I mean, women are very, very emotional creatures. They're not like guys, okay? They're emotional. And you have to understand that. I mean, if you are good looking, I did a video on this, by the way, called, I think it was called, Will Having Six-Pack Abs Help You Meet More Attractive Women? Of course it will. You know, just like if you had a Ferrari, will it help you meet more attractive women? Yes, yes it will. If you're good looking, yeah, it'll help you. Of course it will. But will it make women automatically take their clothes off for you? No, it won't, okay? A lot of times too, women will actually even put up more barriers because you're good looking or because you have your crap together. They'll think that you just expect them to take their clothes off. So a lot of times it'll work against you, where you're gonna have to work even harder to just overcome another one of those female tests, otherwise known as shit tests. So, so it's a double-edged sword, okay? On top of that, when it comes to money, it's like, yeah, it makes it easier to open, but at the same time, there's this balance there because you don't want her to shift you into provider male mode, okay? And that's another thing, is like guys think like, oh, if I had the money, I'd get the girl. It's like, no, you wouldn't. You would just get the girl wanting to turn you into her beta male provider. That's all you would get. Maybe she would date you because she wants to turn you into her beta male provider. So she would make you take her out on, you know, like 10 or 12 dates before you get a kiss or before she even, you know, takes her bra off. So you don't want to be beta male provider. All right, so I just want to wrap this video up. For the record, do you need to be good looking to pick up young, attractive women? The answer is no, okay? And if you are good looking, if you do have six-pack abs, if you're rich, or if you're successful, should you rely on this as a technique? No, because being good looking is not a technique. Being jacked and having a Ferrari and having Lamborghini, that is not a pickup technique. And in many cases, contrary to popular belief, from what you see in these movies, the girl isn't, just gonna like have sex with you right then and there. In many cases, she's gonna try to turn you into her beta male provider, where she'll actually make you wait for sex. She'll make you wait before she does anything physical with you. I mean, she's gonna try to hold out on you, and she's gonna try to show you that she's not a slut, and she doesn't, make out with guys on the spot, and she doesn't have sex on the first date. She's gonna try to show you all these things that unfortunately, a lot of times, may or may not be true, because a lot of these girls, when they see that you're successful, it doesn't always work in your favor the way you think. Will it make it easier to, will being rich and good looking and successful, will it make it easier to get these girls to notice you? Yeah, of course it will. I mean, anybody who tells you any different is lying. But, do you need to, be rich, good looking, and, have looks, money, success in order to get them and date them and have relationships with them? Absolutely not. And anybody who tells you that, like I said, again, is either completely new and naive, and also is making excuses for the fact that their game sucks. And I really hate to say that, but again, I've just seen too many cases in the last 20 years to think otherwise. If you're in this mode and you think it's all about your looks and your money and your status, and you think the only reason why you're not getting laid and he is because he's good looking and he has money and all this, no, it's because your game sucks. And I hate to say it, but that's true. And I've been in situations where I've peeled girls away from guys who are much richer, much taller, much better looking than I am, and much younger. I mean, there was a situation where I was in San Francisco, and I was doing game at this venue. It's called XYZ. It's at the W Hotel in San Francisco. I was doing game at XYZ, and there were a few hot girls in there, and guess who walked in? Like, probably half a dozen Abercrombie models, like Abercrombie guy models. These guys were like 19, 20, just, thin, tall, young, all very good looking young men. And they walked in, and of course the girls turned around and they were like, wow, who are these guys? Blah, blah, blah. But, I didn't sit there and going like this and like, oh man, see, it's all about looks. I didn't sit there and turn into a little girl about it. I didn't sit there and start bitching about it. Instead, I'm like, hey, I've been learning, I've taught myself game, and I know enough about game to outgame these guys. So, and that's exactly what I did, because they did walk in there and they did get some attention, and they got attention from the girls that I wanted. So I was able to go in behind them, I'd do my little game thing, and even though they were younger, much better looking, and obviously, you would think logically like the girls should go for them, I was able to outgame them. Within seconds, I was able to talk away their looks and take the attention off of them and put the attention on me. And the reason why I'm able to do that is because I didn't sit there and feel sorry for myself. I didn't play the victim role. I didn't sit there, I didn't go home, take my ball and go home and then jump on the forums and go, hey, it's all about looks, money, and status. You're right. These Abercrombie models came in and the girls started paying attention to them. I didn't do that. I stayed and I gamed. I did what I do. I game. I used my pickup skills. I used all the things that I teach my students, all the things I teach you. I put my money where my mouth is, and I went up and I defeated these Abercrombie models. Okay, they were half my age, they were younger, had way more energy, way better looking. But like I said, within seconds, they didn't have a chance. They were gone. The attention was off of them, and it was all on me. I mean, this thing was beautiful. I wish I had it on tape. But just to prove my point, it's not about LMS. It's not about looks, money, or status. It's about the value that it's about the value that you bring. It's about the vibe that you bring. It's about the way that you can make the other person feel. And with these guys just walking up and making it all about, you know, their looks, which they did. You know, I will admit, they walked in and they're probably used to that. They're probably used to just walking into venues like, hey man, you know, I'm a male model. Check me out. I'm a male model, you know. Girls, take off your bras, take off your pants. You know, maybe they're used to that. But personally, I've never gamed that way. I've never depended on my looks. And if you are a good-looking guy, I think that's a horrible idea to rely on your looks. Yeah, it will help you, it'll open doors, okay? Obviously, like I said, anybody who tells you any different is lying. It will make it easier, but that should never be the meat of your game, as I say. The meat of your game should be your actual game. And if you think it's all about looks, money, and status, if you think that you have to be good looking or rich or tall to pick up these young, attractive women, these 8s, 9s, and 10s, you're absolutely delusional. And you're a complete newbie, and you need to get out of the house, and you need to go out to these venues and see it for yourself, because you will see the truth, okay? Problem is, with a lot of these guys who think that, they're sitting in front of the television, they're watching movies, they're listening to like Yahoo News or whoever else who are plugging in all the social conditioning into your heads and being like, no, you have to look like this, you have to be like friggin', I don't know who, like Channing Tatum. Is that who's supposed to be good looking now? Channing Tatum. You have to be like Channing Tatum to get the hot girls. And the truth is, you don't. You know, and I always refer back to my Abercrombie story, because that was one instance where it was basically just me and 6, not just 1, not 2, but 6 young Abercrombie models walked into the venue that I was at. And you know, for a split second there, I was like, great, here goes my night, just for a split second. But because I've trained myself to, you know, to have more discipline than that, once I walked in, after that split second was over, I viewed it as a challenge. And I was like, you know what? I know all these girls are now paying attention to them, but guess what? Again, I have enough game, enough skill. I can take the attention off of them and put the attention on me. And like I said, it wasn't even a matter of probably 10 seconds with me talking, doing my little game thing, that I was able to talk away their looks, put the attention away from them, and put it on me. I mean, as this was all happening, you could see these guys kind of shift away, and like almost they could see that I've broken their reality, because their reality is like, hey, I'm a hot guy, come on ladies, this is where it's at. Take off your clothes, give me your numbers, you know, take your pants off. You could see kind of like in their eyes, they kind of took a step back, because it was something that they're not used to seeing. Like, they saw that somebody was able to come in and kind of break their reality that it was all about the looks. And these were good looking guys. So, I mean, it does work both ways. So if you're an unattractive guy, it breaks your reality, because you realize that, hey, you don't have to be super hot to do this. And if you're an attractive guy, it breaks your reality again, because then you realize like, hey, you don't have to be super hot to do this. And here's a guy who came in who could probably be their dad, you know, being my age, and was able to take these women away from them who are actually their age, and was able to take them away and you know, put them onto me. And again, you could see these guys, just like the look on their faces was priceless, where they're like, is this really happening? Is this a joke? You know, what's going on? It was almost like they were in the Twilight Zone. But it was a great effect. So anyway, that's all I have to say about this topic. Do looks, money, and status matter? No, absolutely not. Will it help you? Of course it will. Okay, but does it matter in the end? I mean, do you need this in order to date young, attractive women, 8s, 9s, and 10s? No, absolutely not. And anybody who tells you that it's about looks, money, and status, excuse my language, is being a little bitch, okay? And is playing the victim role, and is looking for a handout. And these are the type of guys that I see in venues that will go to a venue, and you know, when they see a better looking guy walk in, all of a sudden they're like, you know, they freak out. They get immediately like they question their manhood because a better looking guy walked in, and they're like, you know, and they freeze. Where, you know, when I'm in that situation, like the situation I just described with the Abercrombie models, you know, I maybe felt that for a split second. And even that split second that I felt that, I was pissed at myself. I'm like, are you kidding me? Who are these guys? You know, who do these guys think they are? I'm me. I have game. Watch this. And I was able to take the girls with me. I was able to get the attention of those girls onto me. So yeah, all these guys that are, you know, making it about, you know, about their looks, about their money or their finances or their cars, absolute nonsense, absolutely ridiculous. Stop playing the victim role. If you see a guy who's better looking than you, quit hating on him. I mean, there's always going to be somebody better looking, and there's always going to be somebody worse looking, okay? Just be thankful for what you have. Be thankful that you have your health. Be thankful that, you know, you can breathe, that you have eyesight. I mean, that's a great place to start. And don't be so concerned about if there's a better looking guy or if there's a less attractive guy. Focus on yourself, focus on your own game, and you will do phenomenal at this. When you stop paying attention to what other people are doing, and you stop jumping on these forums and hating on everyone, you will do phenomenal. And by the way, just want to make a tidbit note about that. Like, just guys who are just constantly criticizing, by the way, who had this quote? I think it was like Marcus Aurelius had a quote about this, that nobody with a great life will ever criticize you. Basically, he was saying that nobody out there who is happy and enjoying a great life is ever going to have time to criticize you. Why? Because they're enjoying their great life. It's usually guys whose lives are sucking, guys who suck, period. Okay, guys who are playing the victim role. Again, I mean, I hate to say it like that, but yeah, just stop being a little bitch, you know. And I mean, I'm trying to be professional about my channel, but that's the easiest way I could put it. Stop being a little bitch. Stop playing the victim role. Stop worrying if there's somebody else who's better looking. There's always going to be somebody else who's better looking. You don't think I walk into places and you think, I mean, seriously, do you think I walk into places and I automatically think I'm the best looking guy? Well, actually, that is going through my head. But you don't think I walk into places where there's not, you know, other guys who are much better looking, you know, much more jacked, much younger? Of course there are, but do I worry about them? No, I'm focused on me. I'm focused on my game, and I'm focused on attracting the women that I want into my life, because that's where my RAS, my reticular activating system, is focused on getting the women that I want into my life and not worrying about everyone else. Okay, I just don't have time for it. So, in any case, that's all I have to say for this training video, and it was just kind of something on the spur that I did that I really need to just answer this question, and I just really needed to just kind of clear the air on this. In any case, until next time, this is M from the 33 Secrets, and if you enjoyed what you just learned in this new secret training video, then don't forget to add yourself to my priority waiting list for my full training course, The 33 Secrets to Dating Beautiful Women, where you can learn my personal secrets for dating only the hottest, youngest, and most beautiful looking women on the planet, 8s, 9s, and 10s. All you have to do is click the link above, pop in your name and email, and you're all set. It takes 2 seconds. So do that right now, and I'll see you in my next training video. All right, do looks and money matter? Does LMS matter? Do looks, money, and status matter?